Good evening and welcome to Cambridge Forum, discussing the Alzheimer's Prevention Program with Dr. Gary Small. I'm Margaret O'Connor, a neuropsychologist at Boston's Beth Israel Hospital and an associate professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School, and I will be your moderator for this forum. Alzheimer's disease currently afflicts 5 million Americans. 1 American is diagnosed with Alzheimer's every 70 seconds, and right now, the only cure is prevention. Can Alzheimer's disease really be cured? What are the latest research findings useful in the diagnosis and treatment of Alzheimer's? Are there new techniques which can help prevent or at least delay the degenerative effects of Alzheimer's? In his new book, The Alzheimer's Prevention Program, Dr. Gary Small challenges the widely held notion that Alzheimer's is not preventable, and he discusses a variety of ways to keep the brain healthy. Dr. Gary Small is director of the UCLA Longevity Center at the Semel Institute for Neuroscience and Human Behavior, and he is professor of psychiatry at the university's David Geffen School of Medicine. Dr. Small's research, supported by the National Institute of Health, has made headlines in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and USA Today. Scientific American magazine named Dr. Small one of the world's leading innovators in science and technology. Dr. Small lectures throughout the world and frequently appears on the Today Show, Good Morning America, PBS, and CNN. He has written 6 books, including the New York Times bestseller, The Memory Bible. Welcome to Cambridge Forum, Dr. Small.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Patricia. And thank you to everyone who came out to hear what we have to say tonight. It's really a treat for me to visit this part of the country. I lived here for 3 years. I trained in psychiatry just across the river at Mass General Hospital and lived, I guess, a 10-minute walk from here. And it's interesting because as I see one neighborhood, then I start remembering something about another neighborhood. And it reminds me of how our brains work, that our memories kind of live in neighborhoods. And you can remember one thing, and it'll trigger another memory. So we'll talk a bit about that today. But what I want to focus on is the topic of Alzheimer's prevention, as we just heard. And I'm passionate about this topic. I spent 30 years, my entire career, trying to understand Alzheimer's disease, developing technologies to diagnose it earlier before we can see obvious symptoms. I've taken care of families, probably thousands of patients over the years. I've observed the challenges they've faced. I've even experienced it in my own family life, where we've had close relatives who have developed the disease. So I know about the emotional challenges of the illness. And it's one that's touched so many of us. In fact, just a show of hands, how many of us here tonight have a close relative or know someone close to them who has Alzheimer's dementia?